All right, here we go now with Bob, Mr. Wenzel here. I did a show the other night, Bobby. We'll get to your schedule. I'm wrapped up on your travel. I got 8 hours with you. I got plenty of time. Yeah, I'm wrapped up on the tournament, and I thought the committee had a rough. Let's just get a word or two from that first. I thought they had a very rough run. Oklahoma State should have made it over Oklahoma. Notre Dame should have made it over Syracuse. They beat Syracuse in Syracuse. I mean, Notre Dame was the first out, and Syracuse was the last in. How did they? Well, I couldn't figure that out. You could argue USC, Arizona State all day. They took 9 teams out of the who were under 500. 9 teams under 500 if you count their first tournament, or 5 under 500 in their regular season, and then 4 more lost their first conference game who were at 500 going into the conference game. So that's 9 teams who made the tournament who actually did not break even in their conference, whether it's regular season or tournament. That bothers me. Arizona was poorly seeded. I had people yell and scream about West Virginia and Texas Tech with the seeds. I don't quibble on the 1 seeds. I don't really quibble on the 2 seeds, but I think the actual body of work, Oklahoma didn't win a road game in 2018. I thought that Rasmussen and the crew really struggled there on Sunday night. Let me get your thoughts on that.
The new thing this year was quadrants. And quadrants, the whole system is set up to make it sound like it's this objective scientific thing. It is not the objective scientific thing. Because if you say quadrant 1 wins, and what are they? Well, they're against teams 1 through 35 or whatever it is, 1 through 50, okay?
They confuse everybody.
Home, yeah. At home. Well, who's to say who's 1 through 35? What about the team who's 36 or the team who's 51? Okay, that one doesn't count. It's really, if it's going to be all metrics and it's going to be all of this kind of stuff, and don't get me wrong, I think there's value in some of these things, then you don't need a committee. All you need is a bunch of clerks to go through the numbers at the end and do it, okay? If you're on the committee, the basketball committee, you should be able to say, I think Team A is better than Team B. And if you're on the committee and you have the power to be on the committee and you've been selected like that, then the rest of us have to live with that decision and trust their basketball knowledge.
Right.
So when you start talking about what you were just talking about with all of these little different things between teams that are in the middle of conferences and are failing at the end of the year, that's a very, very difficult thing to swallow. One of the teams is Loyola of Chicago, of Illinois. They are a team that won the Missouri Valley Conference. They won the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, so they're in. They're playing Miami tomorrow. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, I'm sure. Okay, but what if they hadn't won? Okay,
they wouldn't be in the tournament.
And that's a shame, right? Last year, Missouri Valley Conference, Illinois State 17-1. They tie Wichita State, lose in the finals to Wichita State, badly, admittedly, badly, and they don't go to the NCAA tournament. I mean, the Pac-12 this year, is the Pac-12 all of a sudden a lousy conference? Now, I know USC was on the bubble, one of the last ones, and they didn't play well against the top few teams in that league, but the Pac-12 is still the Pac-12. Why is the SEC now automatically this great league? There's some arbitrariness in all of this. So I'm going to have a problem all the time with the committee. There's always going to be some of those things that you mentioned.
Was there one specific thing they did this year that really puzzled you as far as whether it's Middle Tennessee, Notre Dame, Syracuse,
it was Oklahoma.
State? Oklahoma.
It was Oklahoma. And I know Trae Young's a great player. He's a great kid. Last year at the Final Four, I had him in a 3-point shooting contest. He didn't win, by the way. Colin Sexton from Alabama won.
Did you?
Yes. But he's a great kid, and he's this fantastic, unique player. However, his team lost 8 out of their last 10 games.
Did not win a road game in 2018.
I mean, how can you? I don't know if you're not nearly successful in your own league, if you're I don't see how you should be justifiably in the NCAA
if
tournament
Oklahoma,
when there are other teams that had maybe the greatest season in the history of their school.
Did you want Oklahoma State to make it over Oklahoma?
I didn't get to the detail of which should be which. I was just angry at that.
Does it bother you that USC went 12-6 in their league, second in the conference tournament, yet did not get in, and Arizona State 8-10 did? Did that bother you?
Yes, it did bother me, and I know that Bobby Hurley did a great job at Arizona State, and at one time they were second ranked in the country. So this gives you an idea. They go from second ranked in the country because they win some games
at
against
Kansas
good teams.
And Xavier, right?
Yeah, they went. Then they deserved it and they were good and all that, and that happened. You can't deny that happened. But then they lose 5 out of their last 6 games in their own league. I just don't. It's hard to swallow.
Yeah,
some of these things.
Overall, you don't like the philosophy, whether it's whatever particular year the committee is working on. The specifics this year, Oklahoma concerns you most of all.
Yes.
Did Middle
Oklahoma
Tennessee get screwed?
Yeah. I mean, I would have. You asked me if I thought Oklahoma State should have been in front of Oklahoma. I would have picked Middle Tennessee in front of Oklahoma.
Because
like
they
that.
were regular season consistent.
Now, if you're in one of those lesser leagues, you don't have to do it this way. You can say, our regular season champion is going to represent us. But you don't have to have a conference tournament.
But then you lose all the money from the conference tournament and the ESPN.
And the juice and the buzz and all that. And even the Ivy League now has a quasi tournament, right? They have 4 teams.
And I tell you, Harvard won a regular season and they were in a tough spot on the road in the Palestra. That was a tricky spot.
Yeah. I mean, it's at Penn every year.
We'll do a 30-second minute promo here. Can you get something lined up? I want Bob to meet my missus, who's right behind him. So we continue here on Mad Dog Unleashed right after